Hello, this is Jack Shute, Hello Partner Journalist at DealMaker in London. I'm having a blast of a day, and I've got good company now as well, so it's even better. Hello to you, Rakhee. Can you tell everyone who you are and what it is you do at Rakuten Advertising?
Of course. So I'm Rakuten Jogia, or Rakhee from Rakuten. I've been with the business for 13 years, and I'm the managing director of our international commercial group.
Brilliant. 13 long years and successful years. You've seen it all, so do you have a kind of highlight that stands out to you in your years at Rakuten?
I wouldn't say it's one highlight, but the journey's been pretty wild here. So I started 13 years ago. I actually started on the publisher side, on the supply side. So publisher sales manager back in 2010 from another network, and I think the publisher side of the house gave me a real richness and understanding what our industry does, how technologies evolve, how customers evolve, and I think that really set me up for success and really very quickly understanding what our industry was when I talk about performance marketing and where it is today. So I've been through in various different roles, which has kind of rounded my skill sets from publisher to our programmatic business, which we ran for about 4 or 5 years, back into commercial. So with my international experience, I think that just lent itself well to understanding what brands wanted as well. So that's been my journey. And I would say my highlight is the fact that I'm in an international role, really getting to know the diversity of people, culture, brands, and the nuance, because when you can respect that nuance, then I think it becomes a little bit more all-inclusive.
Absolutely. So you've got a wide experience of all over the industry, really, which is really impressive. And you mentioned brands there as well. And this is a question I really wanted to ask you as well. So, as international manager and director, what future strategies do you believe will be essential for brands to foster successful partnerships in today's very competitive market that we're seeing?
I think it just depends on what the brand's journey looks like today. So where are they first? Where do they start? How mature are they? And the industry they're in. So if we're thinking about luxury, the luxury space is going through a very different consolidation or growth at the moment. So we're seeing luxury houses that were almost kind of resellers of mono brands starting to consolidate more, and the mono brands are becoming much more empowered to sell direct to consumers, like the likes of the LVMH brands or Gucci. They're much more empowered to understand their customer. They have the right technology set up. They know how to empower or have conversations with partners. And because of that, they really have the foundations to be able to think, what does success look like for them? So they might start in multiple countries, but really what I'm starting to see is luxury brands have been global by nature. So that's an example of what the luxury space looks like. I think if you were to look at the travel industry, it is very different. So big hotel chains, they're global by nature. They understand the global markets, and they're on a slightly different journey, having recovered from the pandemic. So there's a huge opportunity that presents itself in travel today. Whereas if you're an OTA, you're probably much more digital first, much more centralized in your thinking and your global teams, and the chances are that you have a slightly different strategy. So I've kind of given you a flavor of kind of what the retail space might look like, but also travel. And it's depending on where you are in the journey, you can probably work with a partner like us to be able to help you inform what's the starting point, what's the opportunity, what is the right foundational technology or setup that you need to be able to scale that.
I'm glad you mentioned luxury brands, because I bumped into so many today and so many are in attendance, as well as brands in general. And there's been really interesting conversations in the sessions as well this morning that I know you were sitting on it. Is there any kind of conversations that have highlighted to you that have stood out from the crowd that you think are really interesting from brands today? Any conversations from brands that have, you're going to take home today that you're going to remember?
Yeah, so in the last 24 hours, we just had our global event in the office. And what's resounding in some of the conversations I'm having with big brands, not only in the luxury space, but retail global space, as well as luxury, is they're very consumer-centric, understanding where the customer is and what the customer wants. And that's been raised today in today's keynote and panel, just being able to kind of pivot around customer interest and the next up customer, right? Yesterday, one of the conversations I had with a pretty large retailer, one of the things that's very interesting for them is where do they go next? They have a really strong hold in Western Europe, in US, and parts of Asia. Their product is world-renowned. They've got the type of brand recognition that you can't pay for, but they want to unlock new markets. How do we enter into Eastern European markets or Middle East? So it's really they have a true and tried and tested model for what they've done with us, how do we then take that up a level? How do we find them the next consumer that they're looking for in those new markets?
We've mentioned the interesting conversations that have really stuck out today and that we're all going to take home with us. But also, we can't ignore the magic of networking here at DealMaker, and that is really what it's all about, as well as the education aspect. So why do you think it's so essential for this industry in particular to come together and learn from each other in this way, and also build and make new connections as well?
It's a really great question, because I feel like this was the one point that resonated with me today, especially through our keynote speaker, Dr. Nadia Morozova, which was there is a power and a magic of community within the space we operate within. So her entire keynote was around community commerce and AI and the intersection of that. And I really believe we come full circle over and over again. It's not new. The concepts we're talking about in terms of networking and community have been around forever. The reason why we are number one in the luxury space is we built an entire network 15, 20 years ago around the quality of bloggers and creators before they became creators. So we've gone full circle where we used to have a blogger network. Now we're talking about creator networks. So for me, I think community is always at the heart of not only the relationships you build, the partnerships you unlock, but also how you continue to see this space evolve into next generation affiliate.
Absolutely. Now, something that you do that really stands out to the industry, that we respect you for, is your role as executive sponsor for women at Rakuten Advertising. Now, I just would love to know, what does this role mean to you personally, and what are some of the exciting things you're seeing in this role that you're taking part in at the moment? What are we seeing for women that work at Rakuten Advertising at the moment?
Look, I'm going to start by saying I can't take any credit today for any of that work. I have an incredible powerhouse of a team behind the scenes who do everything. They do all the work. I kind of gave them a shout out on International Women's Day. That they are the true pillar leaders for that initiative. I am kind of, I would say, the face or the advocate or the support network behind the scenes, but it really truly is their work, their time outside of their work hours to be able to put that together. It's work I'm proud of, because where I think I feel proud for the work I've done is back in, I think, 2016 or 2017, I went to a speech around mental health, and it kind of opened my eyes around what inclusion really meant, or where we were lacking as a business in terms of inclusion. And I brought together, I think, a group of 2 or 3 of us together. It was really grassroots before we had any employee resource groups or programs at Rakuten, which I will say I'm incredibly proud for what Rakuten does today. We didn't have anything. And the fact that we would sit in the room with our head of HR and an organization, a consultant that was able to really help us understand what we needed to be able to build, the building blocks and foundations for what true inclusion meant, the diversity, well, the inclusion before the diversity, in fact. It, I think, started to get a few ears open in terms of like, this is the path we need to go down. And we could have never predicted that a pandemic would happen and mental health would become the number one thing on people's minds, and how it really impacted all of us. But again, I'm just going to say my team are incredible. The initiatives, the budget they work with to be able to help create a community again within the business, it's really all their work. If I can be doing anything to support not even the women's group, but any other group, I'd like to try and see if I can pay that forward.
Well, I think you deserve credit as well as the team. You're all doing exceptionally well. It's a brilliant thing you're doing at the company. So congrats to you. We see that. Now, of course, we've mentioned the educational aspect of DealMaker and also the conversations we're hearing today. But I'd love to look ahead and what you think DealMaker will be next year and into the future with Rakuten. Where do you see DealMaker going as a kind of event for the industry?
I see Holly off to the side. Bigger and better, I think. I think we're really proud of our event. I think people tell me all the time that this is the event they want to go to. This is the one that matters to them the most. I don't think you can just build a reputation like that overnight. It's taken us years of understanding what works for us, the feedback we receive from our partners. This is your event. It's something we love doing. Again, if I was to dream ahead and think big, I'm like, I would love to have a bigger budget. I would love to do more of this and double our size of deal space and make it more valuable for people, show you more innovation and get some amazing speakers to these events. And I know we have our Optimism coming up in May in the US. For me, that's hopefully the model we're going to build off of for Europe in the future. So maybe one to watch and one to go to this year, and it's only in a few weeks' time. So yeah, let's hope for it.
One thing I don't want you to change is the food. We were talking about this before, because please, I'm very happy with how it is. It's exceptional. So thank you for everything you're doing, and it was great to catch up with you, Rakhee.
Cannot take any credit for that. Honestly, I know you keep thanking me, but I have a powerhouse of a team behind the scenes doing everything. They should take the credit. But thank you so much for coming, and I hope you do enjoy the rest of the day. You have to come to karaoke as well.
Oh, karaoke. Well, I've got the mic, so I'm ready. Absolutely. Thank you, Rakhee.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.